Welcome to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette, with your host Steve Garrett, MC and DJ at one of the largest Corvette weekends in the country, Corvette Fun Fest, president of the Corvette Club of Kansas City, Missouri, and radio disc jockey at the #1 radio station in Kansas City for over 40 years. Here's Steve Garrett.
Thanks for listening to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. I appreciate you tuning in. You can listen to Corvette Today on all podcast platforms. You can also listen on your smart device. Just say Alexa or Hey Google, play the podcast called Corvette Today, and you're connected. Also, visit the Corvette Today website. It's CorvetteTodayPodcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you visit the Corvette Today merchandise store. You can also sign up for Corvette Today emails, notifications, and updates at corvettetoday.ck.page. And don't forget, join the Corvette Today Facebook group. We have over 3,000 members, and I'd love to have you as a member as well. I'm also excited to tell you about the new YouTube channel for Corvette Today. See your favorite Corvette Today podcasts now on YouTube. First, I'd like to thank our flagship sponsors of Corvette Today, Aerolarri Wheels, a true forged wheel with over 20 unique design styles to choose from for your C8 and wide-body versions of the C7, C6, and C5 Corvette. It's an absurd value starting at only $19.88 for a set of 4 fully forged wheels. And use the promo code CT100 for Corvette Today 100 and get $100 off your purchase. Visit aerolarri.com. That's AEROLARRI.com and use the promo code CT100 for your $100 discount. Also, Corvette Fever magazine. Corvette Fever has been relaunched with an online and printed version. The online version has incredible interactivity with hidden photos and information, and the printed version is nothing like you've ever seen before, huge and glossy. Get your free online version at CorvetteFeverMag.com. You can also sign up for the printed version there as well. Corvette Fever magazine, come along for the ride. Also, MidEngineCorvetteForum.com, the forum that focuses on the new mid-engine C8 Corvette. Meet a lot of fellow Corvette enthusiasts like yourself at MidEngineCorvetteForum.com. Also, a shout out to CanadianCorvetteForum.com, welcoming Corvette owners from around the world. It's time to get the latest Corvette news and headlines with my buddy Keith Koerner from CorvetteBlogger.com. As you know, Keith is a regular guest on Corvette Today. He's here twice per month, every other week, to keep you up to date on what's happening with America's favorite sports car. And last week, Keith and I were honored to be at the new Z06 reveal. We will have our third segment totally devoted to the brand new C8 Z06. Keith, it's great to have you back, and it was great to see you last week.
Yeah, great seeing you, Steve. Of course, we had some other friends out in Los Angeles at the Peterson to watch that new car unveiled. It did not disappoint, that's for sure.
Absolutely right. Well, buddy, let's start our Corvette Today news and headlines with our regular C8 production news. What's going on at Bowling Green?
Well, it looks like the supply issues have caught with production of America's favorite sports car. Last week, looks like they reduced production down to just one shift. They've been doing between 91 to 93 cars per day. They're keeping the plant open while they're hopefully stockpiling additional parts so that they can move back to full production with 2 shifts. This was not unexpected, especially when you look at all those tankers off the coast and all the different problems with shipping across the country, lack of drivers and available transportation. So it did catch up with us. In fact, even on Friday, October 22nd, there were 0 cars produced.
Wow.
It's a shame, but it was expected, I think. That might be why we saw some of the reduced allocations for September and October just a little bit. They might have an idea that they were going to be lean on some parts here coming into October. So it did catch up to us. The good news is there is over 5,500 2022 Corvettes have been produced so far for the model year. And the other news we got regarding production is that the special edition, the IMSA GTLM C8R edition, has officially sold out.
Wow.
They're still producing the cars, and they're going to produce them for the next few months, but they've all been spoken for.
That's really good news about the C8R. But boy, we had a nice run, Keith. We had, about 14 weeks of uninterrupted production. So it's sad to hear that they're down to one shift.
Yeah, no, actually it was about 22 weeks, I think.
Also, the NCM is altering their operating hours, but the good news is museum deliveries of cars are not going to be affected, right?
Yeah, that's the news we got. What they're doing is they're going to go to 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time, and then Saturdays and Sundays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's for November 1st through the end of the year. And then January 1st through March 1st, they're actually going to keep those same hours. However, they're going to be closed on Tuesdays. Not sure exactly why they're doing this, because there's just lack of attendance during the dead of winter, which is probably the case. But all the other administrative functions are open. The NCM insurance agency is going to be open. And of course, if you're there to pick up your Corvette for an R8C delivery, that's going to be open Monday through Friday as well. So you're good there.
That's good. Also, this was really cool, Keith. Chevrolet has now put out a 632 cubic inch, 1,004 horsepower crate engine. Man, I wouldn't mind getting that in my Stingray.
Yeah, that's a crazy engine. This is based on the 572, and they were able to get it out to 632, 1,004 horsepower, and it's naturally aspirated. It's got that beautiful carburetor sitting on the top of that big block. These engines will be shown for the first time at SEMA, which is this week. It should be really interesting to see what they price this at. I'm betting it's got to be at least a $20,000 to $25,000.
I would agree with that, buddy. I think $20,000 to $25,000 is probably right in the ballpark.
Yep.
Also, this was interesting. The Corvette Mechanic, our friend Paul Koerner, got a job with General Motors. What's he going to be doing?
That's a good question. I did not ask him that. He's been working a lot of the times with the guys with the warranties. When they take a part off a car that's failed and they send it up to Detroit, they obviously tear it down and figure out what's going wrong with that. He did mention Jeff Strausser, who does that quality control work for the Corvette team. So we're going to find out a little bit more about that. But yeah, he is no longer going to be servicing cars at Key Chevrolet in Connecticut. And in fact, one sad thing, he was going to move to Pennsylvania to take the new job. So it should be good for him, and we're hoping the best.
Well, congratulations to our friend Paul Koerner, and all the best. It's good to see that we're going to still have you in our Corvette community.
Yep, he's still doing events, and he's going to be around. If you have questions and stuff, you can still hit him up on the Facebook page or his website, the Corvette Mechanic.
Excellent. Also, Keith, Chevrolet has passed the $50,000 mark in average transactions. That's kind of a milestone, isn't it?
It is. This is the creeping cost of inflation and parts. There's no discounting on cars anymore because the supply is so low. They saw their September transactions go up 7.1%. The average was 50,451, and that was up from the 47,000 just a month earlier. And they're up 23.3% higher than September a year ago. Again, it's just the supply chain and the fact that there's not a lot of choices out there. Dealers are selling at MSRP or higher, and so that's driving the cost higher, as well as the Corvette. We know that the Stingray is selling very well. We had an average price last month of $89,000 just on the Stingray. That's also driving prices.
Yep, it sure is. And finally, Keith, Chevrolet aired a new Corvette C8 Z06 commercial during the World Series last week. That was good to see them online with that.
It was. This was on Tuesday. It was in game one of the World Series. It was a 60-second commercial. If you recall, we talked about it looked like there might be filming a commercial in Pittsburgh. That's exactly what it was. Parts of that were used for the reveal film for the Z06, which we'll talk about. And then also the other part of this was filmed for this commercial. It's good to see the Corvette back on the big screen. Most of their marketing dollars are allocated. And of course, when you're selling out year after year, how much marketing do you really need to do?
Exactly. Well, buddy, let's take our first break. And in segment number 2, we're going to talk about Corvette Racing and also the lighter side of Corvette on this special edition of Corvette Today.
Stretch the life of your Corvette's paint with NovaStretch Performance Protective Covers. NovaStretch covers provide superior protection for your C5 through C8 Corvette, utilizing stretch fabric technology and an innovative fastening system for quick installation and easy removal and storage. Made in the USA for a tailored fit, the patented design and breathable mesh protects your Corvette without rubbing or chafing the paint like traditional bras. And unlike clear film solutions, NovaStretch provides full front-end coverage including the grille, keeping radiators and heat exchangers clean without creating airflow issues. Visit novastretch.com and use the code CorvetteToday15 to get 15% off your order. Protect your Corvette with NovaStretch.
VetteFinders.com is the Internet's original Corvette classified ads website, with classified ads starting at just $25, and every ad runs until your Corvette is sold. If you're in the market for a Corvette, VetteFinders.com has over 500 Corvettes for sale from all around the USA and Canada and covering all 8 generations. Visit VetteFinders.com, the Internet's destination for buying and selling Corvettes. That's VETTE Finders.com.
And now, back to Corvette Today with your host and my husband, Steve Garrett.
Hey, thanks for listening to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. With me every other week is Keith Cornett from CorvetteBlogger.com. We keep you up to date on what's happening in the world of Corvette. In this second segment, we're going to talk about Corvette Racing and the lighter side of Corvette. First, Corvette Racing might run in IMSA and WEC next year, which is kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, this store was opened up in an interview with Sports Car 365. They are actually considering running over in the WEC, which to us makes perfect sense because now that we have the C8 Corvette selling in the same places, the same continents that the WEC races at, Europe, Asia, cars down in Australia, New Zealand now, with these cars being sold around the world, that we'd want to expand our presence in some of these countries with the racing program, which is the primary source of marketing for Corvettes. They've got 4 chassis that are available. We'd probably be looking at just one car over there, just like they did when they ran at Spa as a tune-up for Le Mans. And of course, because of their rules, we would have to run in a couple races in the WEC anyways. So why not try it over there as well, where I think it worked out pretty good when we were at Spa. So I think the fans were happy with that. I know that the organizing body was glad to see another car. The problem right now is that everybody's short cars and they want as many manufacturers racing as possible. I'm actually hoping this happens.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I'd love to see him in both as well. Also in Corvette Racing, Corvette race driver Jordan Taylor drove a new C8 Z06, but we weren't supposed to know about that, but we did, didn't we?
Yeah, this is one of the fun teasers leading up to the reveal of the Z06. He was on a TikTok video with a guy named Daniel Mack. Daniel Mack has this series where he goes to car shows and he asks people of really high-end sports cars and other cars, what do you do for a living? Sometimes it's really fascinating to hear the responses. So he runs up on Jordan as he's sitting in a camouflage Z06. He says, what do you do for a living? And Jordan says, I'm a race car driver, but I can't talk about it. A very clever teaser for the Chevy team and the Corvette team. And of course, we know Jordan had fun filming it.
That sounds like fun. It was a great little video, and it was fun to watch.
And just real quick, Steve, I met Oliver Gavin in Los Angeles last week for the reveal and just had a couple minutes to talk to him about his driving academy. He left Corvette Racing, and he's going to be starting up a driving academy in Germany. He said they're going to be starting with 6 Corvettes. They're all the Euro-spec left-hand drives. He's hoping to get some right-hand drives shortly to add to that mix. That sounds like it's kicking off soon, and so it's kind of like the European version of our Spring Mountain training. Hopefully people will be able to take advantage of that over in Europe.
That's really cool. It's good to hear, and best of luck to Oliver Gavin. It was sad to see him retire from Corvette Racing, but I'm glad to see he's staying in the field and getting a racing school put together. Also, Amelia Hartford shared a video. She was able to see the new Z06 on the dyno. That was really cool.
Exactly. And if you watch her post-Z06 reveal video, she spends about 10 to 15 minutes around that area, and they show how they do it. They're moving cars in. It's very high-tech and advanced, the way they have everything hooked up in there. Interesting, that room they use, it's also a sound deadening room, so they're able to use that room where they can test, fine-tune the sound, which we know they spent over 2 years doing. So if you haven't seen her video, there's some really good videos out there right now. We've been linking them. We've been running a couple a day. Doug DeMuro just did his big reveal. He's got 4 million followers. Great Stingray reveal was viewed over 11 million times, so obviously a big deal there. We showed the Speed Phenom video, again, a 30-minute technical conversation with Tad Struchter and Aaron Link of the team. So there's some really good stuff out there. We've been linking them each day. So if you want to see the best of the best, you can come see them at CorvetteBlogger.com.
Absolutely right. Also, the C8 Corvette Owners Club met in Dubai. Keith, I didn't even know that there was an owners club in Dubai.
Oh, and let me tell you what, they are very passionate as well. This was a fun group. They put together a very well done and professionally produced video of their meeting. I think there was probably about 20 cars there. They got swag bags. Probably there's some support of General Motors there as well a little bit, but very nicely done. They drive through and then they take some group photos at the end, but the video is well done. If you're a club and you're looking to up your game, I would definitely check out to see what's going on in the UAE.
That's outstanding. It's good to hear that we've got Corvette clubs even in the UAE.
Got them everywhere.
And finally, Keith, Fuel Tech. This is really cool. Fuel Tech ran the C8, and they were the first to run a quarter mile in the 8s. How did they pull that off?
This is an incredible story because the week before, they blew out their engine. They put a big hole in the crankcase while trying to attack that record. But they had a spare engine. They got the car back next day, started tearing it down, got the new engine in, and went back to the track. And yep, sure enough, they broke the record with the 8.973 second quarter mile at 160 miles an hour. Just amazing fast for that car. car. And I don't think they're done yet. I bet they are able to improve on that time. The big question is, will we see the others? We know that Amelia Hartford was back in her car getting it ready for her run for the 8s, as well as the team at Extreme Turbo Systems, who was at a 9.05. So lots of competition there. I don't think that race is done yet, and we'll keep an eye on it to see where it goes.
Absolutely right. Well, Keith, let's take our final break, and in segment number 3, we're going to tell you everything we know about the brand new Corvette C8 Z06 on Corvette Today.
American Hydrocarbon, your one-stop shop for custom interior, exterior, and engine bay items for your C4 through C8 Corvette. We can help you create a custom look for your Corvette with carbon fiber or 10 different color patterns and styles. We've served customers in over 28 countries all around the world. Whether it's a custom-made engine cover for your new C8 mid-engine Corvette or custom-made C4 interior upgrades, American Hydrocarbon can help you transform your Corvette into a best-in-class show car. Our products have been featured in Vette and Corvette magazines, so give us a call. 813-476-5638. That's 813-476-5638. And now we're proud to announce that we can produce and distribute officially licensed GM products with a C8 Corvette. That includes the front splitter, the side skirts, engine appearance panels, and engine fluid caps. See everything on our new updated website, AmericanHydrocarbon.com.
Hey, honey, are you awake?
I am now.
I can't sleep. Since turning 50, I keep dreaming of a red door and a blue door, somehow knowing there are only choices for retirement.
Okay.
Through the red door, we outlive our money. We have to rely on our kids. We're stuck on a fixed income. It's terrifying.
Yeah, that would suck.
But through the blue door, our money outlives us. We retire on our terms. Our kids stay our kids, not our caretakers. We make work optional.
Yes, that's much better. That's what I want too. But what do we do?
We call True Wealth & Company at 913-653-8783. They specialize in helping successful people make work optional. They're our fiduciary Blue Door personal wealth managers.
Hey, where are you going? It's 3 a.m.
I can't sleep. I'm going to check out True Wealth & Company online at retirewithtrue.com. That Blue Door is going to be our retirement.
913-653-8783. Visit us online at retirewithtrue.com. Investment advice offered through True Wealth & Company, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Kansas.
This is the Corvette Today podcast with Steve Garrett.
Thank you very much for listening to Corvette Today, the podcast that talks about everything Corvette. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. As you know, every other week, Keith Cornett from Corvette Blogger is with me. We keep you up to date on what's happening in the world of Corvette. In this third and final segment, we're going to give you all the specs. I know you've been waiting for it. Here are all the specs on the brand new C8 Z06. As you know, Keith and I were honored enough to be at the Peterson Automotive Museum last week to see the unveiling of this car, and it is absolutely spectacular. First of all, just know that the visualizer is up and available online. You can go out there and play with it, and you can get the link at CorvetteBlogger.com or just go online at Chevy.com/Z06. Keith, let's start with the top. I know that the goal for this car was Corvette Racing for the streets, and the difference between the race car and the street car are really blurred, so I think they're really accomplished what they were setting out to do. Don't you think so?
Exactly, yeah. The Chevy team, they referred to this as their moonshot, especially when they rolled out the C8. They had the NASA astronauts for the Stingray, and then they also did the reveal of the convertible at the Kennedy Space Center. So there's been this continuing tie-in with the moonshot theory that they had to get this right. This was very important. I think a lot of that also then referred back to the Z06. Of course, we've got a new engine, the LT6, which is a flat plane crank V8. They referred to this initially and internally as their Gemini project. The engine was Project Gemini, and in fact, there's even little Easter eggs of rockets on the engine itself. As far as the car goes, it's so close to the race car, within millimeters in size. We've been hearing it described as the Z06 is a race car for the street. I think that they've made a lot of progress. I believe so far, we're only in the launch phase. We've never drive it yet. I think they're on the right course so far. And of course, we'll wait till next summer when the car starts production.
That's true. Well, let's talk about the engine first, Keith. I know that we've got all the specs on the engine.
What they wanted to do is when they went back, this is a clean sheet design. After flirting with the superchargers, they decided they really wanted to go back to a naturally aspirated engine. This is where Corvette Racing played such a pivotal role. This is a brand new engine, but yet it's raced thousands and thousands and thousands of miles on some of the most demanding tracks in the world. So that's really important there. This engine's been developed by Corvette Racing. For other than a few things here and there, it's the same engine that we're going to have in our cars next summer. So it's a big deal. This is a 5.5 liter V8, makes 670 horsepower and 460 foot-pounds of torque. The torque number has been something that I know a lot of Corvette enthusiasts are talking about. It's within 5% of where we were with the LS7 in the C6 days. But the car just makes so much more power, especially from that 6,000 to 9,000 RPMs. So that's really going to open up a lot of people's eyes when they see that tachometer just fly all the way over to the 8,600 RPM stroke. This car also has forged aluminum pistons, forged titanium connecting rods for strength. It's got a new 6-stage dry sump oil system. What's really exciting about it is the new design of the engine. It actually has a new active split intake manifold with 87 millimeter throttle bodies. What this does is it sucks air on each side of the car and then feeds it in individually into that split intake. The engine looks great on top. It's got LT6 embossed into it, and then you can get a carbon fiber engine cover that really dresses it up and makes it look fantastic.
It did look really good. This flat plane crank is going to be something, and it's a dual overhead cam engine.
Yep.
The cool thing that I saw was that each engine is hand-built, and it has a plaque with the name of the person that built that engine. And in watching some of these videos, they are going to be offering that option again where you can build your own engine, which I thought was outstanding.
Exactly. Yeah, these are all engines that are built by hand at the Performance Build Center inside the Bowling Green Assembly Plant, like they did back in C6 and C7 days. There will be a build your own engine program where you can come in and you spend the day with a master engine builder, you build your engine, and then within a week or so it goes into your own car, and then you get that plaque there. And when you look in the rear view, that rear coupe glass, that plaque is very prominent. It's right there. People are definitely going to be seeing it. It's got a nice signature on it. It really dresses it up. Before, the older ones, when they were built, they're kind of hidden down on the manifold covers, but this is front and center.
It was really cool looking. And the 0 to 60 time is 2.6 seconds, which is outstanding.
We only have a few performance numbers. That was one of them. They could test that themselves and give that number out. And the other one is the car does 1.22 Gs on the skid pad. That's fantastic grip there. Of course, a lot of that is the big Michelin tires. We've got 345s on them right now on the rears, which is the widest tire ever put on a Corvette. And it's also the largest tire because we're using a staggered setup of 20-inch fronts and the 21-inch rears.
That's right. Let's talk more about those specs as well. The car is 3.6 inches wider than the C8 Stingray, which is pretty cool.
Yep, it's longer too, and it gets even longer when you add the Z07 package because it's got an extended front splitter on it. The car is designed to be low to the ground, very wide for stability and for aerodynamics. When you see it, it does look wider. It's not a small car. The weight on it, I believe, is 3434 with the Z07 and the carbon fiber wheels, closer to 3490 if you get up into the regular aluminum wheels. But it's still a very fast car, as we said. Tag said that it's knocking on the top speed record of the C7 ZR1.
Also, to be more specific on the fronts are 275 30/20s, and then the rears are 345 25/21. So at 345 millimeters, we're entering Lamborghini-sized tires, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and also, Steve, as we're talking about tires, these are Michelin, so we've got the summer-only tires. These are the Cup 2R racing tires.
Right.
And then the non-Z07 cars will get the all-season tires. And then finally, we know that Michelin is also working on a dedicated snow tire for the 345 size. So Corvette owners will have choices when it comes to putting tires on their Z06s.
Also, they had 734 pounds of downforce at 186 miles per hour, which was very impressive. And above and beyond everything else, I was talking to Harlan, and amongst all these improvements, we still get the same amount of trunk space in the front and in the back, which is really good to hear too.
Exactly, yeah. None of the space changed. What the car did was it grew outwards. The only panels that are the same as the Stingray are the rear coupe lid, the doors, and the front. All the other body panels are different. And the roof is the same as well.
Right. Also, when we're talking about styling, there's 6 different interior color options, and there's 6 different brake caliper color options too. So it's nice to see all the variation that can be chosen from.
Yeah, we only have the 4 caliper options right now. We've got 2 more. So the current colors on the calipers, the black, bright red, yellow, and edge red, and we're going to get an orange, and we're getting a silver.
Nice. That's good to hear. Speaking of calipers, the wheels were outstanding, Keith. As a matter of fact, I'm a big aftermarket wheel guy. The wheel on the Z06 was the first Chevrolet wheel that I have seen that I wouldn't change out for an aftermarket wheel. And there's 5 different finishes to choose from on these wheels.
Exactly. 5 different finishes on this wheel. So there's 2 different wheel styles. There's what they're calling the spider wheels. These are forged aluminum. That's another thing too. The previous wheels have always been cast aluminum. That's where they take the molten aluminum and pour it into a cast and form the wheel. The forged are much stronger. They are milled from a block of aluminum. From that, we're going to get 5 different colors. So titanium satin, a machine face, a satin graphite, there's a black wheel, and then there's 2 accessory wheels. There's what they call a tech bronze, and then there's a graphite red stripe. It's not completely black. It's like a charcoal, but it's got that red stripe around the rim. With the carbon fiber wheels, there's carbon flash, which are the painted ones, or you can get the visible carbon fibers. And my understanding is that the carbon fiber wheels can only be ordered with the Z07 package, but they are in addition to the Z07 package. They don't come standard with the Z07 package.
Got it. And also, let's talk about the exhaust. I know the engineers spent 2 years developing and tuning this exhaust and just making sure that they got that exhaust note right. As a matter of fact, I was talking with Taj, and he said there was a parabolic reflection tuning for this exhaust, reverse cones in the exhaust tips to help with airflow and sound.
When you look at the way a normal exhaust is, you get a pipe that comes out of the car and then it's welded to these tips. These are different. The pipe comes out of the car, and if you look through there, they're not welded. They just are mounted inside, but the back is open as well as the front. And as exactly as you said, there's these parabolic surfaces in there. These tips are designed as megaphones to project the sound out. And one of the reasons why they decided to put all 4 of them together in the center of the car was to maximize that sound. But here's the interesting thing, Steve, is that when they were doing the Stingray, they just constantly kept saying this car is too quiet. And so by leaving the back of these tips open, that sound is also reflecting now back to the occupants in the car. So it makes driving experience where you're hearing that new LT6 roar.
It sounds great. It almost sounds like a Formula One car. So I was really impressed with the exhaust note of that car.
Yeah, and the other thing too with this is that you will actually be able to now choose between chrome tips or black tips.
Oh.
That's something that we've never seen before on the Corvette.
Outstanding. Keith, let's talk about the Z06 and then the Z07 package, because there's a big differentiation between the two.
There is. With the Z06, one of the standard options is the magnetic ride control. That comes standard. And then the car also comes with a base aerodynamics package. The standard Z06, it's got a front splitter and then a unique rear spoiler that includes an installable fixed wicker bill. So without that installable fixed wicker bill, that's your level 1 aero. And then you can pop these 3 screws off the underside of it and add these larger panels, which creates additional downforce, up to 365 pounds of downforce. And then the available carbon fiber aero package for the Z07 adds a larger front splitter. You have the front corner dive planes and then that pedestal mounted rear wing on the top of the car, while underneath the car you have these underbody aero strakes, which Taj says really helps suck the car down to the road and provides much more downforce and maneuverability.
Man, that's amazing.
Here's one of the really neat things about the car is, with the carbon fiber aero pack, the Z06's downforce is rated at 734 pounds at 186 miles an hour. What it does is it actually provides more downforce and less drag, and it's the most downforce ever on the Corvette.
That's amazing. Now let's talk more about the Z07 package, because that really gives you a lot extra stuff.
Yeah. So what they did with the Z06, one of the big things here was cooling. You have this new front radiator that really just sucks in the air. And in fact, the Z06 overall will move 50% more air through it than the Stingray. So that's very important. Of course, with the car now being wider, you have wider cider intakes. So now the Z07 package, obviously it has that carbon fiber aero package. You get a unique suspension. So we already MagRide is control there. But when you order the Z07, your suspension's changed a little bit even more. You also get the Michelin Sport Cup 2R tires, and then also available are carbon fiber wheels. Those carbon fiber wheels, you add those to your car, you'll save 41 pounds over the aluminum forged wheels. And then, of course, no Z07 package is complete without the Brembo carbon ceramic brake system. And these are the largest brakes ever put on the Corvette as well.
That's really cool. And the wing was really nice, and that's in carbon fiber too.
It's a beautiful wing. There's a lot of gorgeous carbon fiber. And when you look at that wing, it's one piece. It's all molded. It's not like they did end plates and then screwed them on. It's a beautiful piece of workmanship.
Absolutely right. And Keith, there's a lot of new updates and changes for the interior of the Z06 too.
Yeah, we always like to say that that's where the magic kind of happens, because that's where we spend all of our time at, in the cabin of the car. So new for Z06, first of all, we've got that carbon fiber steering wheel. The shift paddles are also done in carbon fiber as well. If you get that carbon fiber package, or your car with the 3LZ trim package, you also get the carbon fiber steering wheel and the carbon fiber paddle shifts that way as well. But I think really exciting, and I know that you're excited about this, Steve, is the new level 2 carbon fiber interior package.
Right.
This really wraps the driver in just a beautifully molded carbon fiber panel. So you've got doors, you've got that center console with the cup holder, all that going up the wall, the great wall of buttons there. All that is done in carbon fiber now. And then the other thing they got new is what they're calling stealth aluminum. So like your speaker grills are done in like a bright aluminum, and the stealth aluminum is almost like, I don't want to say black, but it's a very darker shade of aluminum. So it really allows more customization there for buyers that really want to do something a little bit different. The other thing that's new for 2023 is we're going to see a fully dipped adrenaline red interior. If you like a whole lot of red in your car, which normally I don't, but this kind of reminds me of like the 96 Grand Sports, where you see all that red, the red carpet. It's just a way to bring that back. And I guess they've been trying to bring back the adrenaline red for a while as a fully dipped interior, and they were able to make it happen on the Z06. But boy, there's just so many different personalization choices here. In the interior, there's 7 interior colors. There's 3 seat choices, 6 seat belt colors. Now you've got 2 interior carbon fiber packages. You still have the level 1, which is just around the gauges. Of course, there's the ability to customize. I think they said there's over 11,000 color combinations and trim options that you could pair to come up with a car that's truly unique.
That's amazing. Also, Keith, let's focus for just a minute on those carbon fiber wheels. I know that when talking to Taj, these are 13-inch wide wheels, and they're the widest carbon fiber wheel that has ever been made, isn't it?
It is. These wheels are made by Carbon Revolution down in Australia. They're the same wheels that are found on the Ford GT and the Mustang GT350 and GT500s. They put that wheel together, but the difference between their wheels and our wheels is that General Motors actually had some additional specifications, in which case it allows them to make a very strong wheel, as well as the beauty of the wheel. You know, not only do you want to put a wheel together, but you think of all the heat tolerances and the stress that those wheels go under. Obviously, they had to be constructed correctly. And so Carbon Revolution was able to meet those specs. Did you have the opportunity to lift that wheel up at the Peterson?
I did. I lifted up the wheel and it felt like nothing.
And what's really cool about it is when you look inside the wheel, there's like this ceramic panel that runs around the inside. And when you put your hand in there and feel it, you're tapping on it. It's like, wow, this doesn't feel like carbon fiber. And it's not. It's this ceramic or surround. And that's due to the heat dissipation. You know, you come off of a track, your Brembos are very hot. If you were to stop, all that heat would just rise up into the top of the wheel there. So now it's got protection from that heat. These wheels also offer, as we said, 41 pounds of savings around the car. With the car equipped with these carbon fiber wheels, Taj says on like a 2-minute lap, you'll save at least a second of time because they're so much lighter. And if you do order the carbon fiber wheels, there's actually a change that they make to the steering inputs because the wheels are lighter and they turn faster. So they've actually calibrated those differences for the carbon fiber wheels.
That's outstanding. And I know it has a high gloss finish, and it has the Corvette script on the outside of the wheel, which looks really, really good.
Yeah, they're good-looking wheels. The question is how many enthusiasts will want these for just driving around versus those that will just use them for the track. But the good news is they look great whether you're going to the track or you're going out to dinner.
Well, they look fantastic, and you know me being the carbon fiber fanatic that I am, I would order those wheels. We just don't have a price on them yet, and that kind of scares me. So I'm waiting to see what those set of wheels will cost.
Yeah, I would say that we're going to see them, and I'm going to give you a broad range here, but I would bet they're over 8, but I don't know if they would be as high as 12. So I bet there's probably somewhere in that range. And then again, we'll just have to wait to see. But the thing is, again, these are an additional option on top of the Z07 package.
Right. And $8,000 to $12,000 sounds like a reasonable range. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I was happy to see a couple Easter eggs on this car because it is the 70th anniversary of the Corvette in 2023. There was a 70th anniversary script on the rear hatch of the coupe that commemorates the 70th year of the Corvette. And then also on the front windshield, it had a little script that said Team Corvette, which looked really, really cool.
Yeah, the Team Corvette came in last year on the 2021s, I believe, but now on the rear deck to see the 70th anniversary. So it reads a larger 70, and then on one side it says Corvette, and then on the other side of that 70, it says 1953 to 2023. So that's a nice thing to do. And of course, it is an anniversary year. And again, you have to wonder if that adrenaline red interior package might be a precursor to some sort of 70th anniversary edition, special edition. Like the first Corvette was white with the red interior, and now they might be recreating that for an anniversary car.
I think that would be pretty darn cool.
And there are these little rockets that are on the engine for commemorating what they're calling their Gemini project, the creation of this car and this motor. I bet there's probably some little Zora icons on there as well.
That would be neat to see. Is there anything else that we've left out that we need to make sure everybody knows about?
Oh, geez, Steve. That's the thing about these cars is there's so much there. There's all these little things that we're just really coming out and finding out. Little things like if you decide to track your car, you know how with the Stingray you have to go get the 2 extra quarts of transmission fluid?
Right.
Well, you don't have to do that on the Z06. Another thing that we noted that there's a different weight of the oil. They're going to go to a 5W50 as opposed to the 5W30 on the Stingray. Little things like that just continue to come out. We found out no cylinder deactivation on the LT6.
Okay.
We'll just continue to be adding little different things like that, finding out more. And that's the thing about this car is we just continue to grow our knowledge on it. There's going to be all these little tidbits coming out daily and weekly until we get to the release of the car in the summertime.
That sounds good, Keith. And like we said, the configurator is now up and online. It's available to play with. When do you think that we're going to see pricing, Keith? When do you think ordering will start? And when will we actually see cars delivered to customers?
The only timeline they gave us was that production was going to start in the summer. So if we think that it's July or August, ordering will probably take place a couple months in advance of that. So I'm betting that we will see pricing sometime around the NCM Bash, which is around the end of April or so. It could be a little bit earlier, it could be a little bit later, but we'll get that. We'll get the order guide, which will tell us all the stuff that we can order standard or optional, the pricing, and then from there we'll have orders, and then production will start. This is a different car, so we'll probably see a pretty intense quality control regimen rolled out for it. They build the cars, they can hold them for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks or so, and then they'll release them to the dealers. It's great news. People are going to be having these cars in 9 or 10 months or so. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely right. Well, buddy, thank you so much for all this information. You are a wealth of knowledge, and it's great to hear all the details about the new C8 Z06. Thanks again for being on Corvette Today. Obviously, we love having you here. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks, and we'll get more updates on the Z06.
Well, thanks, Steve, for having me. It's always fun here talking about Corvettes. It was absolutely a blast seeing you guys out in the Peterson in Los Angeles. We can't wait for the next get-together.
Thanks for listening to Corvette Today, and please be sure to tell your family, friends, and other Corvette enthusiasts about the Corvette Today podcast. And also thanks to our flagship sponsors, American Hydrocarbon at AmericanHydrocarbon.com, True Wealth and Company at RetireWithTrue.com. Also, Aerolarri Wheels, get $100 off your purchase with the promo code CT100 at Aerolarri.com. Also, Nova Stretch Bras. Use the code Corvette Today 15 and get 15% off your total purchase at novastretch.com.
You've been listening to Corvette Today with Steve Garrett. If you'd like to contact Steve with any thoughts on the podcast or ideas for guests on Corvette Today, you can email him at stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. That's stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. Garrett has 2 R's and 2 T's. Or connect with Steve on social media on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram using @SteveGarrettDJ. Thanks again for listening to Corvette Today.